So this year we've seen a lot of things that have surprised us. We got the Golden State Warriors doing their thing. Nobody expected them to be this good, especially without Klay Thompson. You got the Suns who are still maintaining. You have the Chicago Bulls that are better than a lot of people expected. Hopefully we get it together with these injuries and the COVID stuff. But one of the bigger surprises, you could look at it for the worst, but a lot of people are celebrating this man's downfall, is obviously James Harden. James Harden this year has gone through it. Man, I gotta say, the rules have hit him really hard. The rules that were made just for him. It's making him look like a fraud, but honestly, man, I can't cap. It's more to it than the rules, and I'm gonna address it in this video. Because I think a lot of people look at the new rules and say, oh, Harden just can't score. And honestly, that's definitely a factor, but if we're being honest, there's a lot more than I think a lot of people are realizing. And I really didn't want to make this video because I didn't want to jump on the James Harden is washed bandwagon, even though I did make a video on my second channel criticizing James Harden earlier on in the season. But when I made that video, I wasn't trying to say Harden was washed, I was just challenging him to play better. And I knew eventually, or at least I thought eventually, he would get it together. And unfortunately, this dude has let me the fuck down. Like really, James Harden, what the fuck is your problem? Because I watched his return to Houston yesterday, H-Town stand up, y'all know how it is. I can't cap, man, he made the Rockets look way better than they actually were. And shout out to the Rockets, they've been on their little win streak, they can enjoy it while it lasts. But my goodness, was James Harden so ass in that game. 25 points, 11 rebounds, 8 assists, nice box score, but he shot 4 of 16 from the field and 3 of 12 from 3, along with 8 turnovers. I mean, the man is lucky he's a free throw maestro when he can be, because he got to the free throw line 16 times, and if he didn't do so, he would have barely hit over double digits. I mean, I really didn't want to feed into the James Harden is washed thing, but right now he just doesn't look the same. But before I elaborate on the reasons why, make sure you guys drop a like on this video. Like I keep saying, y'all show so much love, and I would love for y'all to continue that, so make sure you do so, as well as subscribe to the channel. It only takes one click, along with pressing that bell to stay up to date with the latest notifications when I post. But now that we're done with the plugs, let's get back to talking about James Harden. Now look, James Harden is not one of my favorite players, so I'm not gonna start things off with I like James Harden. But I am not a James Harden hater neither. I live in Houston, so I saw a good portion of James Harden's career. And I will say to you guys, when James Harden left, I remember when they dropped the tribute video on Twitter on the Rockets page, and I can't cap, I almost teared up watching it. The city of Houston just wasn't the same when he left, man. I can't cap. And considering we were going through that Deshaun Watson stuff, and also the Astros cheating in the World Series, man, it was just a rough patch for Houston, bruh. But let's stay on topic. James Harden, right? This year he has not had a great season for his own standards. I know a lot of people see the box score of the points, rebounds, and assists, as he's averaging 21 points a game, 9 to 10 assists, 8 rebounds. It's solid numbers right there in the box score. But when you consider the fact that he's shooting 40% from the field and below 35% from 3 on nearly 8 attempts a game, I can't cap, that just ain't cutting it for me. It'd be one thing if Harden was averaging like 25 points a game with that efficiency, but I can't cap, 40% from the field would still be disgusting in that scenario as well. And even when you want to look at the advanced analytics, they back up the fact that this is not the James Harden that we're used to. Per 100 possessions, he has an offensive rating of 109, which is the lowest of his career. When you look at his offensive win shares, this is also the lowest amount of his career with 1.5, and his 20.5 PER is the worst PER that he has had ever since he left Oklahoma City when he was a bench player. So as far as the numbers go, it does support the fact that James Harden just has not had the same impact that he has had in other seasons. Now before the Harden brigade comes at me, please relax. I'm not saying that James Harden doesn't have a positive impact. I mean, when he's on the court, they have an offensive rating of 112, and when he's off it, they have an offensive rating of 106.9. Obviously, James Harden is doing a lot for the Brooklyn Nets offense. He's their primary ball handler, he's playmaking for them, and considering they don't have many playmakers on that team, he definitely has some value. I mean, the guy is still playing at an all-star level, he's that good. But unfortunately, James Harden, that's not the standard that we've set for you. Over the course of your career and your prime, you were a top 5 player and deemed a superstar. So to be an all-star caliber player, no, that's just not gonna cut it. We're not giving you Bradley Beal, Kyle Lowry standards. We're giving you standards close to Giannis, Jokic, LeBron James, Kawhi Leonard. Those are the players that we compare you to, but unfortunately, it doesn't look like you're on that level anymore. And it looks like a lot of people are attesting it to the new rules. And I can't cap, the rules have definitely taken a toll on James Harden, but we kind of need to give him a little bit of a break. And the reason I say that is because we know these rules were literally made for James Harden. I don't know why a lot of people were saying Trae Young and Steph Curry. I mean, don't get me wrong, Trae Young definitely foul baits. Steph Curry took advantage of the rules as well, but those guys' games didn't depend on foul baiting. Meanwhile, in the case of James Harden, foul baiting was literally a facet in his game. Like, if it wasn't a part of James Harden's game, we wouldn't have even got this rule in the first place. And yes, I understand we're about 25 games into the season. He should have adjusted by now. That's what a lot of you guys are probably saying, but you can't just tell him when to adjust. Drawing fouls are going to be natural to him. But nonetheless, that don't mean I can't criticize him, because going for fouls instead of just trying to score is always going to be unacceptable to me. I mean, remember the days where people had to defend James Harden with their hands behind their backs? Like, man, thank God that shit is over. I've always hated the fact that he could just literally walk into a defender and hook their arm on purpose without even trying to score the ball. And the referees would just give him that stupid ass foul. It was ridiculous then, and it's still ridiculous now. And I know a lot of other James Harden fans are gonna use the injury excuse, right? You know, the hamstring thing that he went through last year, he was battling it in the off season. But honestly, I genuinely don't give a fuck about that excuse. The man was partying with Lil Baby all off season, and he was saying scary hours this, scary hours that. So if you're hyping yourself up, injuries are not really a fair excuse in my opinion. And he's played enough games to where I think he should be in better shape now. If you're good enough to play, then I don't want to hear it. And I'm not saying there hasn't been effects from that injury. He's definitely lost that first step he used to have. He just doesn't have the burst. And when it comes to beating his man off the dribble as a whole, he can get by his man on occasion, but it's just not the same as it used to be. So if you want to say the hamstring has permanently affected him or something, then I can kind of agree with that, but I don't want to use that as an excuse, because I think there's a bigger issue at work. And that issue is the real reason why James Harden looks washed, and it comes down to one thing. His game is too predictable. And I've been saying this, and I've been saying this, and I've been saying this for years. If you've been watching the Hoop Concessions pod, if you've been watching my channel for some time, you know how I feel about James Harden's game. Because for a guy that made fun of Giannis for his lack of skill, and his fan base proceeds to tell everybody that his bag is as deep as Brittany Renner's pussy, I gotta say, man, his bag ain't looking that deep right now. Because James Harden's game is too fucking predictable, and because the rules are the way they are, it has helped defenses defend him a lot easier now. Because for starters, I will admit he is getting fouled sometimes and he doesn't get the calls. It's fucked up, but hey, it's karma. This is how your defenders felt all those years, so I could give a flying fuck. But secondly, it's easier to defend him because you know exactly what he is going to do. Because James Harden literally has 3 moves in his bag: the step back 3, the floater, or trying to draw the foul, which is what the Rockets loved, right? They loved their analytics, getting to the paint, the floater, the 3-point shot, the step back, and getting to the free throw line, which is why Daryl Morey, James Harden, and Mike D'Antoni, they all fit like gloves together as a trio. And that playstyle may have worked in the past when he could foul bait himself into 30 points when he shoots bad from the field, but now that the rule has changed and he can't get to the free throw line as often as he used to be, combined with the fact that he doesn't have the athleticism that he used to have in the past, because James Harden's never been the most athletic player. I mean, the guy has the body of the Pillsbury Doughboy. But when you strip him of literally a third of his game, it's so easy to defend him when he's relying on the most inconsistent shot in basketball, a 3-point shot, which is usually a step back, which makes it even more inconsistent because he can have his hot days, but we all know he can have his cold days from behind the arc as well. And even when he gets to the paint, I give Harden his props. He's a good finisher, but it just ain't the same anymore. And because of that very simple play style, I understand why a lot of people were hesitant to say James Harden's one of the greatest scorers of all time, because his scoring ability is so limited to a couple of moves. And that's why I consistently said I want to see the 2015 James Harden. I want to see the post moves. I want to see the post fades, the footwork. I want to see you use your mid-range game, and that's the biggest thing I want to see, because James Harden has a mid-range game, or at least he used to have it. I don't know if it's the D'Antoni effect or whatever it is, but he needs to go back to using some mid-range jumper. jumpers, because utilizing the mid-range in today's league does wonders for you, because due to those same analytics that Houston follows, a lot of teams don't even defend the mid-range jumper, they just defend the paint by dropping back. And that's why a lot of the best scorers in today's league are thriving still. Players like LeBron James, Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, Jokic, they use that mid-range game. And I've seen James Harden be able to use it in the past, he just needs to dig down deep, use his head, and actually do it. But until he actually utilizes some of those moves like the mid-range game or a post game, he's going to continue to have those nights where he's hot, like against the Knicks recently, and then after those kind of games and explosions, he's gonna have those long ass stretches where he's looking like Raymond Felton on the court. And James Harden is so much better than that, because it really sucks for me to see a guy like James Harden go through this, because his legacy, it's gonna be pretty tarnished if he can't recover from it. I mean, think about it, scratch all the other years that we saw in Houston, the 30+ points per game, the scoring streak, all of that stuff, forget about that for a second. Literally less than 365 days ago, in March of this year 2020, in the 2020 NBA season, James Harden was probably on pace to win his second MVP. From February through March, Harden was averaging 27 points a game, 11 assists and 9 rebounds, shooting 46% from the field and 35% from behind the arc, along with 86% at the free throw line. And mind you, in a lot of the games that he played in Brooklyn last year, where he was the favorite for MVP in a lot of people's minds, he wasn't even playing with Kevin Durant or Kyrie Irving. And now here we are just a couple of months later, and people are saying he's washed due to these new rules. And whether you think it's the truth or not, it's going to affect his legacy, because we all know how narratives begin. So James Harden, man, you gotta get it together for your own legacy's sake, because you're better than this. Adjust to the game, bruh. Adjust ASAP, because not only does your legacy need it, but the Brooklyn Nets need it. I mean, just imagine if you're Kevin Durant right now. Kyrie Irving don't want to get the vaccine. Apparently he's going to get some plant-based vaccine. I don't even know what that's about. And then this James Harden is the imposter James Harden. This ain't the Harden that you wanted to play with. I mean, my goodness, I know KD is fuming right now. But hey, let me know your opinions down below in the comment section on this James Harden situation. Do you think he's washed? Why or why not? Don't forget to drop a like on this video to show support to the channel. And if you're not subscribed, what are you doing? Hit that subscribe button along with that bell for post notifications to stay up to date with the latest content on this channel. This is your boy Young Mustard signing out. Y'all stay safe and have a blessed day. Peace.